Greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty, here at you again with another edition of this week's vlog. It's been a week. It's been definitely a week of accepting things and understanding things for what they are, whether we like it or not. Well, not wouldn't say whether we like it or not, but just accepting things that they are and understanding that this is where we go and this is going to be the best of the summer that is looking forward to be ahead. Today is been 15 days as of the last night of medication adherence, and so we're moving on and we're going forward. We got through the 14-day goal. We're moving on to the 30-day goal, and I think that's just the thing. You have to realize it and accept it and move on. And that's like many of the things that I've understood, accepted, and moved on from. And it's hard sometimes to accept those things, but in reality, it's part of what the autism is. It's part of what my diagnosis, along with other diagnoses, is accepting things that um, are not, are not the norm, are not the standard. Uh, they are what they are, whether we like to hear them or not. And essentially, it's the radical acceptance, or literally the self acceptance of myself understanding what they are for what they are, and that I have to be comfortable with them, with living within them, and understanding that I do have limits, boundaries, and expectations to meet. With that being said, I think, just one of the biggest things I have to understand is when my body is tired, it is tired. It cannot go no more. And the fact of knowing when my body is tired is really the factualization, the understanding that I need to take my medication and get some rest. Um, it's hard as an autistic person, I think, in many cases, for the brain to shut down. And that's what we hear so much about autistic people, struggling with sleep, throughout their lives and having the right cocktail of medication. And I know I didn't want to go on a hyper medication, but it pretty much correlates with the fact of accepting things. The fact that, I as a 15-year-old young teenager who thought he had the world by the ass, literally, and that, my parents did everything for me pretty much until I was 33 and moved out on my own. Um, I pretty much, it was pretty much an expectation that you had to adhere to your meds and take your meds and go to bed because that was what we were told to do. And if you didn't take your meds and you knew you were up, maybe if a sound was heard, maybe if you couldn't sleep and you were restless in nature, then you knew it was time to medicate and to take your meds for what they were. Likewise, is accepting the fact that along with taking medicine, there are going to be points in the day when you are going to be just exhausted from autistic fatigue, autistic burnout, whatever it may be that it bogs you down, and there's going to become a point where you are going to exhaust your spoons and you're not going to have enough spoons to get through the day. Therefore, you're going to need to recharge and take a nap. And that taking a nap is perfectly normal. But for me, for the longest time, I had a hard time accepting, especially as I became an independent adult, that it is perfectly fine to take a nap if we become overwhelmed or we experience periods of autistic fatigue or autistic burnout. It's definitely something, that is a struggle and is it was a barrier. And I think accepting that for what it was a big thing as well. And understanding that having a window to recharge, especially at night, in concert with the understanding that my body is just tethered and weathered and just the fact that I can't do no more because my body is telling me I can't do no more, even though my brain is telling me that to keep going and keep thinking, and and if I'm not medicating with my proper medication, that the brain is still operating, and yet the body cannot function. That definitely does not have a healthy relationship with one another hand in hand in the grand scheme of things. And that is where, that gets me into that state of trouble if I don't recognize the need to take my medicine. Um, I had to accept the fact that all of those go in hand in hand. And in fact, I feel it is time to take my medicine for bedtime, I do take my medicine for bedtime because it is a necessity to do, and not just because somebody's telling that, it's because a medical professional has prescribed it for over 20 years, several medical professionals, but it was initially conceived after my autism diagnosis in the 90s. And while, I had to learn, I was not properly educated as a 14, 15-year-old on how medication management works, what's the adverse effects of it, um, you know, what's the issues that it could cause if I would stop it. I remember being an inpatient and all they did was handouts and talk about them. But really, at that point, that is not the point to discuss those issues. I feel personally, now that I'm older and almost hitting a birthday, I feel that that is just not the place and time because really, in that essence, I'm working on being the model patient or doing what I need to do to get out. I may not have conceive or understand, especially as a teenager, what certain medications may or may not do and the understanding of what they may or may not do for me. Um, that was not the time. It has been over the past few months and over the past year or so that I've taken the time to educate myself and learn, especially with the one medication I've been struggling with for a while, why it's good for me and why it's not good to stop it. And it took me a long time of learning and accepting it for what it is and understanding it for what it is. So that is part of the autism. And I don't mean that to go to that level of just why it's a good thing for me, but for me, it is proven to work, and it's understanding that and accepting that for what it is. It is accepting other parts of my makeup uh, beside the autistic and mental health identity, but also the other identities that I intersect with, and understanding that there are reasons why I don't need certain things in my life, and finding closure while having some things of what I did have, and understanding that we have to find closure and where we are and where we stand, and having to move on from a sense of life, and knowing that it's okay and we're going to move forward from this. And actually, it's 2 weeks in, over 2 weeks in, um, and I think it's actually being a good part of understanding the parts of autism. Also, parts of autism that are understanding when it comes to accepting that autistic people just can't build the world all the day if the brain is working and the body is not, is the fact that I can't do other things I want to do physically with my body in one day that my brain thinks it wants to do. Let's talk like task or things that it needs to that you think need to be done. But in essence, they cannot be. It's a struggle to get. It's when the body shuts off, and for maybe 3 or 4 hours of inadequate sleep, where you can get 5 or 6 or 7 hours of adequate sleep. It's hard. It's sometimes hard to put things on pause because when your brain can't shut down right at that moment, but there has to become a self-actualization, a self-understanding, and a acceptance of that. The fact that, um, that has to be a reality in life and for what it is. And, you know, just that, you have to shut down on your own, at least start that process of transition from one thing to another and know what it is. Now, I've also accepted to some degree that I could potentially have an ADHD diagnosis. I'm not, I claim that selfly, but I do know it's out there floating in the breeze somewhere. However, I have a struggle keeping on task sometimes, and I will make lists, and that seems to help a little bit. But until I have that real actualization or understanding at one point or another, it'll never come to realization, um, however it may be. But in essence, understanding my realm and my understanding of things and having an acceptance for what I am as I stand today, nearing a birthday pretty soon. Um, I think that it's, just a part of life and that we accept it for what it is. So, I'm gonna come with a close today with that and just, everything's possible if you want to make it. And somebody said to me, a staff person said to me, that I'm capable of more than I think of, and I think that's very much true. And now being more medicated, more following the medication regimen for a little bit, I very well value and understand that and accept that for what it is. So, the sky's the limit, but today is today, and we are doing well, and we're just at a great juncture right now. And I thought I would share a little bit of what that means, and this is what it is. So, with that being said, I want to be sure that you like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. We've got some new subscribers. I want to thank you for joining. I hope I don't disappoint you with the new content I bring to the table. Also, the fact that you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest at Dustin's Dynasty, on the web at dustinsdynastyusa.com, and I also have a link tree at Dustin's Dynasty. I want to thank you again for listening, and be sure to have a good weekend. Take care of yourself. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves and others, and be kind. We'll talk at you soon. Bye for now.